Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 10th October 2020. In this video, we'll be discussing two issues that appeared in news today. The first article for the day is taken from the Hindu and it is titled Saving Lives Under the Long Shadow of the Pandemic. So, after this lockdown and the COVID imposed stress on the society and jobs, we have been witnessing a alarming rise in mental health issues and also suicides. This is a very serious concern because even if we take a look at normal statistics, the incidence of suicides is very high. But in the case of the pandemic, it has increased multifold, and this is a point that should be considered by the government, and immediate intervention is required. Because whenever we talk about health, mental health is often ignored and not considered a mainstream issue. But if we take a look at World Health Organization's definition of health, what is health? So World Health Organization defines health as a state of well-being rather than just absence of disease. This is the definition that we take in the Indian context, but we don't focus on this aspect of well-being, which is a positive connotation, something beyond just absence of disease. We think about health only when there is a disease, so that should not be the approach towards health and healthcare. And significantly, when we're talking about mental health, it is totally ignored by our citizens. To that matter, whenever we talk about mental health issues, it is treated as a stigma, or there is a taboo associated with it. There is a stereotype associated with the mental health issues in our country because whenever a person mentions that he or she has mental health issues, it would be treated as a sign of weakness. So, this approach should be totally destigmatized and the myths should be debunked. What is the role of the government? What is the present reality with respect to mental health? Let us have a look in this article. So, what happened in the present lockdown situation, not just in our country, is it led a lot of people into isolations. Now, especially when we are talking about urban centers and also a lot of Western communities, they often live in isolation, and this isolation has caused depression. So, depression has been one of the major consequences of this lockdown and made the vulnerable communities even more vulnerable and impacted their mental health very severely. So, to put things into context, 88% of the population felt anxiety after a survey, and 76% feared job loss. 74% of them felt stress, and 73% of them felt isolation and loneliness when a survey was taken by Boston Consulting Group, a major consulting group in the world. So, when we're talking about the mental health disorders, the novel coronavirus pandemic has heightened the risk of suicide during that times because of the uh, hopelessness that it created. Isolation will lead to hopelessness, and this is the major reason why it triggers depression and eventually suicide. So, if we take a look at the consequences, which has actually brought the vulnerable sections into even more vulnerable state, are first one is mass migration. If you take a look at the migrants that walk back to their places, you will understand their plight. Not only do they have the fear of uncertain death, they also had the fear of not being able to see their families again. They also had the fear of economic loss. They have the fear of unemployment, and what could be the economic stress or the impact of uh, the pandemic on their life, and what kind of economic stress they would be put under if they have to go to the hospitals. The access to healthcare is also again a significant aspect, because in the absence of a state intervention or an insurance policy, this can alter lives and drive people into poverty. If you have to talk about the means to prevent suicides, the most important factor is empathy. Now, when we are talking about empathy, if we have to relate it to our UPSC exam syllabus, in GS4, empathy is one of the values that we have to exhibit. Especially leaders are supposed to have this empathy. What is this empathy? It is an ability to relate to the other person's pain and understand and react according to the situation. So the government must move with empathy. Not just the government, every stakeholder involved should move with empathy. Now, in this process, this article focuses on something called top down approach and bottom up approach. So, what is this top down approach? Whenever it is about raising awareness, a stature of a prime minister can be very helpful, and if at all we have charismatic prime minister who can appeal to the masses, he can raise awareness about this mental health. For example, in the present context, Swachh Bharat Mission, Make in India, all this have been successful awareness campaigns because it actually took the idea to the masses. We are not talking about the results, that is debatable, but as far as awareness generation and taking it to the people are concerned, our government has done a very good job. So, when we are talking about the top down approach, it is about raising awareness. But when we are talking about the bottom up approach, this is about how we act. Grassroots levels should have the capacity to carry out the activities and execute the policies as per the spirit of the law. So, the fact that National Mental Health Survey of 2015-16, the last one to come out with, has indicated that nearly 150 million people had a necessity for public health care intervention from the government. So this pandemic might have easily multiplied that amount by at least a factor of this. We might not be surprised even if it is double. But the severe lack of resources and again the lack of seriousness towards mental health has been one of the major problem. If we have to reap the demographic dividend and ensure that the post treatment gap for the existing mentally ill persons close down, we have to dedicate certain resources and also improve the mental health care professionals. That is severely lacking in our country. How many mental health care workers do we actually know? We have to question ourselves. Even though there is a rise in severity, there is not even an iota of recognition that we need to address this problem comprehensively. So what happens as a result is there is a possibility of abuse of drugs. So in order to get away from this problem of depression, there is a possibility that the youth might be inclined towards recreational drugs, and sometimes even extreme forms of drugs can also be dangerous to the health. For this reason, we have to implement the law in its spirit. We have a national mental health program that was brought out in 1982 itself, but it was never taken seriously. So not just treating the mentally ill people, rehabilitation, and even the most significant aspect, prevention and promotion of positive mental health, this is completely absent. We generally associate this lack of mental health only with the urban population and in a population that is extremely stressed, but farmers and the rural community have even more hopelessness sometimes, and they need certain care. So having people at the grassroots level will definitely help this cause and take India towards a sustainable and healthy society in somewhere in the future. That is the takeaway from this article. The second article for the day is taken from the Indian Express, and this is about the recent bi-monthly monetary policy committee meeting which came up with the review of the monetary policy. So certain key decisions were taken. Let us have a look at them one by one. The first one is targeted long-term repo operations will be carried out. Now let us understand the concept of this targeted long-term repo operations. In our normal economy classes, we have seen that repo operations under this RBI lends to the banks. Now what is the interest rate charged here for overnight loan given to the banks? It is the repo rate. There is a repurchase obligation wherein the banks have to take that bonds which they have mortgaged back from RBI at a given rate. That rate is repo rate. But what happens in long term repo operations is it lengths for a long time, generally greater than 1 year. That is why it is called long term repo. And it is given at repo rate only. That is the reason it is called long term repo rate. Generally, when banks are trying to raise long term funds, RBI will be charging more than the repo rate. But in this case, to trigger the economy and also to ensure liquidity with the banks, it is going at repo rate itself. In the economy, again, there will be certain sectors which will cause a multiplier effect. Say, for example, if the bank is lending to infrastructure sector, it will create certain jobs in construction, it will create jobs in steel sector, cement industries, etc. So this multiplier effect will be taken into consideration for certain industries, and what is known as targeted long term repo operations will be taken place. In normal times, there will be a certain percentage above the repo rate when targeted long term repo operations are carried out and the money is given to the banks by RBI. Normally, what happens is, if say for example, 2 or 3 banks, say bank 1, bank 2, and etc., try to grab the biggest share of this fund that is being dispersed by RBI for liquidity, especially when there is an economic boom, there will be auction for these funds. That is to say, the banks that will give the highest interest rate will get the maximum amount of share. Say if there is a fund of 1 lakh crores being released by RBI. So for this 1 lakh crores, say for example, SBI wants 75% of this 1 lakh crores. So this 75,000 crores. So at the same time, a bank too also says that it needs 75,000 crores. So what happens in normal situations is, the bank that is willing to give higher interest rate and depending on their credit worthiness, to those banks this amount will be given. So in the present times, there is no demand from the bank side, but since RBI is willing to give it at a repo rate and not a rate above that, they will be having a slight margin if they lend it to the sectors that RBI has mentioned in the notification. Say for example, if RBI says that you have to give a loan to the construction sector, and if the bank is actually willing to take that risk, then it will get these funds at targeted long term repo operations funds at repo rate itself, not a rate above this, which is generally the norm in normal times. Now the newspaper uses another specific term called on tap TLTRO. So what does this phrase called on tap mean? So generally, whenever we need water, we just open the tap and water comes out. Similarly, in this case, what happens is, if a particular bank, say SBI, needs amount, it can directly approach RBI and not wait for the auction like in the normal times. So whenever there is a demand, it can approach the RBI. So that is the meaning of the word on tap, on the demand, on the go. That is the significance of this term. Now where will this money go? Like, where will be this money be targeted to? So generally, when money is availed under this scheme, the bank should be ready to invest this in corporate bonds, commercial papers, and non-convertible debentures. So basically, it is about raising the capital for the private sector and to create that multiplier effect which will generate jobs. So this is the first aspect of the decision taken in yesterday's meeting. Now let us come to the second measure, that is the statutory liquidity ratio has been changed. So when we're talking about the SLR in held to maturity, what is this held to maturity category? Basically, we have to understand that we have seen in our basic economy classes about the concept of statutory liquidity ratio. This is the mandated amount that is to be kept by the bank in the form of government bonds and certain other assets. Now this is at the moment 18% of the net demand and time liabilities. Of course, there is no restriction that you should only hold 18%. The banks can actually hold government bonds more than 18%. But the problem with this provision is, unless and until there is an upper cap, the banks will not lend to the private sector, and this will not create the multiplier effect. So definitely there is a need for an upper limit, and therefore the bank has indeed placed an upper limit. So beyond a threshold, the government cannot invest on the government securities, but there should be a minimum 18% of NDTL. So what happened in the present time is, we have seen that the state governments are under severe stress because of lack of GST revenue. So they were demanding GST compensation. Even the central government did not have any money with them. So what they did was, this upper limit was raised and state governments were allowed to borrow from the RBI. Normally what happens is, GSECs correspond to the central government bonds, but when we are talking about state governments, we call them SDL or state development loans. So most of the state development loans are not an attractive investment option because the market does not believe in the ability of the state governments to pay back this loan that they have taken, even if they offer higher interest rates. Now if they offer higher interest rates, again sometimes it is a burden on the central government itself, because certain states actually borrow from the market by showing that central government will be acting as a guarantee for the loans that they have taken. Now this is a problematic issue for the central government as well. That is the reason they have raised this cap that is set on the upper limit of NDTL, and they have accommodated state development loans as a part of this cap. So coming back to the SLR holding in HTM category. So when we purchase bonds, we can sell that bond any time in the markets, or we can keep it till maturity. Say for example, if that bond is maturing in 2030, we can hold it till maturity and then avail the interest rate. If it is 10% on that, we can avail the 10% interest till the time that you hold the bond, and also you will get the entire principal back. Other thing that you can do is sell these bonds at a price lesser than its face value because you urgently need cash, and you have already gained something because you leverage the interest on that bond for a small amount of time. So you will not be at a loss. So if this bond is 100 rupees, you are willing to buy it at or sell it at 98 rupees. This 2 rupees is not a loss because of the fact that you have already, after 1 year, gained 10 rupees because of the interest on that. So taking all these complex calculations into account, a lot of trading of these government bonds will be actually happening on primary markets. So what RBI did yesterday was, the limit for SLR cap that I have just mentioned was increased to accommodate those state development loans and the bonds involved, so that the raised category can accommodate these specific bonds, because they will give long term revenue to the banks. So in that way, what RBI has ensured is, the state governments get certain amount of money, and banks also get long term revenue minimum investment. That way they have raised the capital for the states. The third step taken by RBI is open market operations of SDL. Now till now RBI has never taken up this initiative because most of the times it restricted itself to the government securities, that is the central government bonds. Now when we are talking about state development loans, if RBI itself is taking up open market operations, what happens as a result is, it increases the adaptation of these bonds. So acceptance levels increase. So there is a sense of confidence in the investor that if RBI itself is carrying out open market operations, then it is definitely credit worthy, and as a result what happens is, there will be an increase in demand. Now when there is an increase in demand, the interest rate that the states offer will come down. This is yield management operation of the Reserve Bank. So whenever there is interest rate higher than the normal, what happens is the buyer will have a higher yield, but when there is an increase in demand, the interest will come down and it will reduce the yield. That is the yield management activity of RBI. So RBI has done this also as a part of ensuring monetary policy transmission, and this is what it means by keeping a lid on yields. So this is the gist of this article, and I've tried to explain the comprehensive points that are covered in this article. If you do not understand any point, please go back to your economy basics and revise the concepts of bonds, government securities, state development loans, etc. Also revise the basics of SLR, CRR and other banking concepts before coming back to this article and watching it all over again. That's it for the day. Thank you.